Good afternoon and welcome to this Chemistry World webinar. I'm delighted to say that we have a very interesting topic today about a piece of software that we can all use to make our chemistry that little bit greener. So today we're looking at DOZN 2.0, a quantitative green chemistry evaluator. We're going to learn how to calculate green scores for your processes and to increase your overall sustainability. By the end of the webinar, you'll have a good understanding of the DOZN 2.0 tool and its applications. You'll have learned how the scores you get from DOZN 2.0 can help you to make a sound judgment of the most sustainable processes for your work. And you'll have discovered how DOZN 2.0 will help to improve overall sustainability of your institution. I'm Ben Falsler, Chemistry World's digital editor, and my role today is to introduce you to the software and to introduce you to our speaker, then hand over to him and sit back while you guys learn. So the software itself is GoToWebinar. It should be down one side of your screen. And the most important bit you need to know there is how to ask questions. So there is a box in there where you can ask any questions to Chemistry World or to the speaker himself, and we will try and get all of those questions answered at the end of the webinar. If we are unable to get through any of your questions, or if they're that little bit too specialist, then we will send them on to our speaker, who should be able to hopefully get back to you with an answer by email. So thank you ever so much for giving us all the details we need to do that. The other thing is, if you have any issues or any non-webinar specific problems, then you can just hit the little button that looks like a hand to put your hand up, and one of Chemistry World will be there to help out as soon as they can. So we'd like to say a big thank you to MilliporeSigma for helping us to find the right topic and the right person. And that person is Sami Ponusami, who is Fellow and Global Manager of Green Chemistry at MilliporeSigma. He did his PhD in polymer chemistry at the University of Madras in India, and then did postdoctoral studies at the University of Illinois at Chicago. So he's well-traveled as well-educated. He's the founder of the worldwide green chemistry team at Sigma Aldrich, and is currently leading the green chemistry initiatives at MilliporeSigma. So we will hand over to Sami in just a sec, and then we can get on with the presentation. But yes, any questions you have, drop them into that box straight away. If there's any part of the webinar that you miss, you would like to see again, then we'll be sending you a recording. Now, for that reason, we also don't share the slides, because we think what's important is not the slides on their own, but the slides in context of what's being said. So you'll get the whole recording. We'll send that out in maybe a couple of days' time. And as a little thank you to everybody who attends the webinar, we will also send you a certificate showing your participation. So thank you very much for joining us. Now that we've introduced Sami, we'd like to get to know a little bit more about you, the audience. So let's run the poll straight away. And just so we get a good idea of who that we're talking to, and we can make sure that we give you the most appropriate information that you need, we would like to know, do you work in academia? So with students, postdocs, professors, you may be a professor yourself or a student yourself. Do you work in government or non-governmental organizations? Are you in industry? And if you're in industry, is that pharma, biopharma, chemicals, and others? So we'll give you a short while to vote, so we really get to know who it is who's here today. That means we can tailor the content appropriately, make sure we get the right sorts of questions out there. We're going to make sure we've given you plenty of chance to vote, so we get a real flavour for who you are. And we will then share the results. So, well, far and away, the vast majority of people who are attending today are in academia. Quite a few people in the chemical industry or other industries, mostly academics though. And Sami, is this what you expected to see? Is this where you find the most interest in these sorts of green and sustainable processes, is in academia?
It was actually a mix always, not this much in academia. That's maybe given this shut down everything, the virtual thing is taking off. So probably more academic interest here than industrial.
Excellent. Well, hopefully this will still be particularly useful to anybody who have an interest in this. So we'll close the results of the poll. We will hand you control back, so we'll be able to see your presentation once more. There we go. We can see your presentation, so do please take it away. And I will come back a bit later on to go through the audience's questions.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those who are across the pond. Thanks for joining the webinar at this difficult time. Hope everyone is and their family and friends are doing good. I'm going to talk about our DOZN 2.0 tool, a quantitative green chemistry evaluator. The outline of my talk is going to be MilliporeSigma's greener alternative platform, how that DOZN 2.0 system works, how to apply the system with the product examples, and a short video demo how to use it, and then close with the advantages of DOZN. Our greener alternative platform consists of 4 categories. The first category is re-engineered product. Re-engineered means the product we manufacture in-house and we improve the process, make it more sustainable. That's called re-engineered. For that product category, we apply our DOZN tool to score what was the score at the old process, what was the score at the new process, how much it was improved. The second category is 12 principles aligned. 12 principles aligned means many of you might be aware of the 12 principles of green chemistry. So if a product applies or adheres to one or more category of 12 principles of green chemistry, then we call that as 12 principles aligned. For example, greener alternative solvents we recently introduced called Cyrene to replace NMP and DMF. That's considered as 12 principles aligned. Enabling technology products. Enabling technology product is the product that enables the greener research. For example, alternative energy research, solar and wind. The product goes into that research we call as enabling technology products. The fourth category is design for sustainability developed products. These products are, we embed the design for sustainability principles at the design phase to reduce the consumption of products goes into this excuse me, into the production at the R&D phase. So example here is steric cup e-filters. We developed a process in such a way we reduce the use of plastics over 40+%. Those products identified in these 4 categories, we give this icon on the left, the globe with the reverse arrow. That's a greener alternative products in our website. So we have currently about 1,000 products in this category, all the 4 categories. Okay, these are the 12 principles of green chemistry developed by Professor Paul Anastas and John Warner over 20+ years ago. And this is globally accepted as the basis for green chemistry. Why we developed the DOZN tool? Few years ago, we did a study. We wanted to find out how the customer feel on green chemistry. So the study was done through our global advisory panel consisting of our key customers. The results were very interesting and also unexpected. Customers were asking, what's the metrics you use? Nowadays, everybody says my product is better than others. What's the, how do you quantify? That's where it opened our eyes and we looked into what's available in the marketplace. There was no one comprehensive tool which we could buy and use it, because there were bits and pieces of tools like a toxicology or safety related available, and also those things are very expensive. Given our 300,000 plus product portfolio, it's not going to be, doesn't make any business sense for us to use it. So that's where we discussed this within our green chemistry team, consist of over at the time 30+ scientists, brainstormed, and we came up with 12 principles of green chemistry as the foundation for our program. So we developed algorithm for each principles. That algorithm utilizes the process information, how to make the product, like all this inputs, temperature, process calculation, everything. And then it takes GHS, globally harmonized system information, and SDS, safety data sheet information through the system, and gives the score for each individual principles. So DOZN 2.0, how this thing works is, if you look the 12 principles of green chemistry, 6 principle talks about resource use, 1 principle energy efficiency, and 5 principle talks about environmental and human hazards. So we group them The 6 principles as improved resource use, 1 principle as energy efficiency, and 5 principles for human and environmental hazards. So these are the 6 principles for the improved resource use: waste prevention, atom economy, use of renewable feedstock. So we average these scores. I will show at the end of the presentation, I will show this how we calculate it. So the second group is design for energy efficiency. Sorry, I have a sore throat. The third group is lower human and environmental hazards. So you can see these 5 principles contributes for the safety of environment and human. Now I am going to show you the algorithms. First principle is waste prevention. So all waste is created as severity factor assigned to it. So we are based on that, because where it goes, either landfill or it's burning, how we dispose. So this is the algorithm we developed for this. The second principle is atom economy. We all know more atoms goes into the final product, the process is more efficient, more sustainable. We create waste, less harm. In the pharma industry, they call this as a process mass efficiency. It's heavily used by the pharmaceutical industry. The next 3 principles are safety related. Here comes a term H score. H is a health hazard score. It's like eye irritation, respiratory, skin sensitization, all those things. This score is determined from a scale of 1 to 5 from the GHS. Principle 4, designing safer chemicals. Again, here comes H score. The H score is determined from GHS scale. Safer solvents and auxiliaries. Again comes H score. H score determined from the GHS health hazards. Design for energy efficiency. So here comes severity factor of temperature and pressure. So we need to know what's the temperature and pressure associated with this for this principle, how it deviates from the ambient temperature or ambient pressure. Use of renewables. We know more, if we use more renewables in our process, we don't create more hazardous waste. So it improves the score. Reduce derivatives. In the chemistry, we make a lot of derivatization to make our end product. At the design phase, if we can plan in such a way, reduce the derivatization, and then we reduce creating more waste. Catalysis. So we all know the catalysis increases the efficiency and yield. So wherever possible, try to apply more catalysis to improve the process, make it more sustainable. Design for degradation. Here comes a new term called B score. B score is a biohazard score, like acute aquatic toxicity, bioaccumulation, exposure, persistence, chronic, etc. So this is also comes from the GHS scale of 1 to 5. Real-time analysis for pollution prevention, principle 11. So if we have a process monitored continuously, the chances of going out of control reaction is minimum. So we reduce the leaks, pollution, and unwanted errors. So the continuous monitoring is best to reduce the hazards. Okay, the last principle, inherently safer chemistry for accident prevention. Here comes a term called P score. P score is a physical hazard. It's like an explosives, flammable, pyrophoric, etc. This is also from the GHS scale. These are all connected through the system. Okay, now we have all the 12 principles, algorithms, and the scores. Then how do we make the calculation? So we take the improved resource use group, principle 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and 11, and we average the score. So we get the group 1 score. Then group 2 is an energy efficiency. We take it as it is. because it's only one principle. Then group 3, there are 5 principles, 3, 4, 5, 10, and 12. So this is I have human and environmental hazards. We average the score. So we have these 3 group scores now. We sum the group 1, 2, 3 scores and divide by 50. Why 50? We wanted to give the score from 0 to 100 scale, because if we give the customers 12 different scores, it will be confusing for the customers how to select which one is the greener. So they can always go and find individual scores, but if we give an overall picture of the process or product, that would be better. That's why we wanted to give it as 0 to 100 scale. So based on our experience with the tool, what we used so far, our lowest score was single digit, highest score was 5,000. That's where we divided this with 50. It's a normalization factor to bring it to 0 to 100. So the aggregate score gives greenness, a quick summary of the 12 principles. So our system was verified and validated by third party and also published at ACS, Sustainable Chemistry and Engineering Journal. How to apply the DOZN tool? The first step is collecting the data. So we have to collect all the everything from the procedure. We can't miss anything. You know, if you are mixing for 5 hours and then filtering, then rotovap, etc., you have to catch everything to input. If you miss something, that result may not be accurate. And then you enter the system into our matrix data entry, and then there is a button save and calculate. I will show a short video how this thing works. Product examples. Beta amylase is an enzyme used for hydrolyzing starch into sugar. Now we have been using 1950s publication to make this enzyme. This process requires 6,000 pounds of sweet potatoes freshly harvested and 19,000 gallons of acetone at elevated temperature, at the almost boiling point temperature, to use it. So what this 1950 publication was an academic publication. We scaled up this process, but when it goes to such a large volume, it's a safety, really safety hazard for the company. So, and also we had an reproducibility problem also. 2 of our scientists looked into this process, how we can improve this. And those 2 scientists had an experience with graft brewery. And they looked in both graft brewery and this process. You know, this, any natural product, polyphenolic compound comes out. Using organic solvent is the easiest to remove those polyphenolic compound. That's what this 1950 publication was. To remove the polyphenolic compound, they used acetone at elevated temperature. It's a clean process, and then you isolate the product. Beer and wine industry also has similar problem, and they use polyvinyl polypyrrolidone as a scavenger, which is a biodegradable polymer. So they applied this to they brought their personal experience to the lab, and after 2 months of bench work, they were able to scale up the process and reduce the use of starting material instead of 6,000 to 2,000, and completely eliminated the solvent usage. The electricity utilization was minimized. They replaced the system with water and electrodialysis. So the yield was increased, the activity of enzyme was increased, and also we can make, we don't have to wait for the fall, every harvest season to make this product. We can make throughout the year. This new process works all seasons. We applied our DOZN tool, how the scores were for the old process and the new process. You can see on the bottom right-hand corner, the re-engineered process, the new process score is 1, almost the most greener. And the old process was 57. And you can see the improvement here, energy efficiency, 100% improved. You can see the safer solvents and auxiliaries 100%. You can see waste prevention 97%, atom economy 93%. So you can see more, and some principle does not apply because all 12 principles won't apply for every single process. So there's some more examples we applied for this DOZN tool. You can see at varying scales, 9346, 104, 149 on the bottom. So currently we have over 50 products in this category. There is a demo, 2 minutes demo video here. The first, I'm going to show you how to make sodium acetate. It's a 2-ingredient material. The first step is you need to register at our website, launch a tool, then create an account. Once you create an account, you'll be approved in 48 hours. Then the tool is yours. You can start working on add your final product, quantities, product information. If you have a co-product, use it, otherwise remove it. Then enter your process information, reaction conditions, acid-base reaction, time, reaction, and then enter the raw material. It's a sodium carbonate. Then second one is sodium. If you have a product pull down menu here, is it our product? But if you don't use ours, you can pull others. And then we are done with adding raw materials. Then B score is the biohazard score, can be found at section 12 in the STS page. So save and calculate, it will give the score. You can see the aggregate score 1. You can see each individual principal scores. You can download your input by clicking that right corner. You can see the group scores, individual principal scores. I know it's faster, but we can help you to get started. Advantage of DOZN 2.0. So the measurement is easy. So because we are using the on-hand information, we don't have to purchase, spend money to do the calculation. Calculation is really easy because we are using the benefits of 12 principles of green chemistry. So now we can communicate clearly to the customer, transparently. This is what the metrics behind what's green means. Data privacy. Users can evaluate the processes and products in a safe and secure manner. This is a free web-based tool, enables customers to choose a more environmentally friendly approach to improve their overall sustainability. Again, our system was verified and validated by third party and published in ACS Sustainable Chemistry and Engineering Journal. Thank you for your attention. For more information, please visit this link here or my email. You can reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Now, before we go into questions or anything, we're going to run yet another poll. This is just to get a good idea, again, from our audience to see what they think is important. So they think green chemistry is important because it improves sustainability. It's good for the environment. It can save you money if your processes are more efficient. Then you are quite often spending less money on electricity, on raw goods, on the disposal costs, and so on. That might be a key driver for you to make your processes more green. Or it can guide people on best practices, or maybe because of all of the above. So we've given people more time than I had initially intended to vote on that. So we're going to close that now and share the results. So most people think it's a combination of all of those things. I'm a little bit surprised to see that we obviously don't have a hugely mercenary audience here who are being green to save money. So in a way, that's very reassuring, but it's definitely true that it can save money by making your processes more efficient. And it seems that most people believe that the real benefit of green chemistry is a mixture of all of those different factors. So thank you ever so much. Let's start off with a fairly simple one. lots of people, as you said, those principles of green chemistry have been around for over 20 years now. And lots of people who aim to be more sustainable and to have more green processes in chemistry will have devised their own ways of measuring this, because you can't manage what you don't measure. And so lots of companies will have their own individual way. Why would it be advantageous for people in that sort of situation to move on to a tool like DOZN 2.0?
Because the DOZN 2.0 addresses the whole aspect of it. The tool developed in the marketplace is all narrowly focused, either like a example, like a toxicology related or the safety related. There is not the whole process information is not incorporated, and also the cost. Whereas this tool is free, it gives a really relatively good framework for the result. So this is the advantage from others.
I guess as well, it also means that you know that your measurements are in line with the rest of the industry, because there are lots of people using this tool, so you know that your measurements can be comparable and you're not just measuring things that are exclusive to you.
No, it's not. It gives the overall picture of the greenness. It's not greenness is for MilliporeSigma only. It's a greenness is for everybody.
Excellent. So it's a very useful tool. So a question a couple of people have asked. I think the first person to get it through was Asa Ahmed, and one or two other people have asked as well. Is it free to download? Is it a free product that anybody can use?
Yes, it is free in the website. Go to sigmaulrich.com/green. You can see DOZN there. Click the DOZN. Then your first step is you need to register. Once you register, you will be approved within 48 hours. Then the tool is yours to use safe and secure manner. Your results can't be seen by anyone other than you unless you show it to somebody.
Well, so that's another good point. So if people are putting in processes that are under patent, so people's own IP, for example, is all of their data secure? It's kept away, it won't get shared?
Yes, it is not at all accessible to anyone other than the individual who puts in.
That's very good to know. Hopefully very reassuring for the audience as well. So Shraddha Tiwari has asked, how good is DOZN 2.0 for multi-step processes?
Yes, it is good. The multi-step process, we have to enter all the inputs same time. So we launched this tool exactly May 6th, 2019 for everyone to use as a free tool. We found out over the year that if we have a step-by-step calculation would be advantage that we are collecting data to improve for our DOZN 3.0. But currently it gives the calculation for the whole process. You input as is a one-step process or a three-step process, all together it gives the score. But if you want to differentiate between step 1 and step 2, you have to enter independently, right, currently. But we are going to address that in our DOZN 3.0 as a comprehensive tool. Right now, the current tool, we have to input all of them together, get a one score. But still you can do a step-by-step scores by individually inputting as a step 1 is one product, step 2 is another product, step 3 is another product, you can get a score.
I see. Right. So you can then...
It's a very good question.
You can,
yes, we are addressing on it right now.
Right. Okay. So at the moment, you can definitely get an understanding of each individual step, and then there's perhaps another bit of logic or another bit of consideration for how the whole process works together. So we've had one question, we've had so many in the last couple of minutes that I lost the name of the person in this list of questions. Oh, it was Wazia Masamba who wants to know, is it possible to have a process that is 100% green? Can it get a perfect score in DOZN 2.0?
Yeah, it is. If you don't use any solvent or any pressure temperature, then you will get on almost, 1 or 0. Like our beta amylase is 1. 1 is almost, 0, right? Close to 0.
So you can certainly get close. I imagine everything's got to have at least a bit of electricity or something like that that might mean that it can't quite be 100% green. But then if your electricity is coming from sustainable sources, then maybe that's not something you'd worry about too much. Julian Whitley.
Yeah, that's why Ben, that's why we call our initiative as greener alternative platform, not green, because under the chemistry field, to making 100% green is, the chances are very slim. So that's why we call it incremental increase, greener.
Excellent. And of course, now having a score means that every change that you make to your processes, you can then run DOZN again with those changes, and you can see what sort of impact have we had on how green this process is. Is it more so? Is it less so, etc.? That's
Yeah.
very useful to know. Julian Whitney has asked, is it possible to persuade companies that a short-term initial cost will result in an improved future profit? Now, I guess the thing that we're showing here is if we can use data and the scores from DOZN 2.0 to demonstrate that an initial outlay will in fact have longer term benefits because it makes things more sustainable. It makes our chemistry that bit greener.
Yes. So in fact, I forgot to mention that the green chemistry initiative, what we were doing and our products, we did not spend any extra money. In fact, we saved money in the process. So by making the greener process, we saved money. We improved the process, we saved the money, and also we did not increase the price to our customer also. We kept the same price.
Right, even better. So we've had, okay, now this is a very good general question from Bruna Abreu, who wants to know, is there a guide or some sort of walkthrough available online that explains step by step how to use it?
Yes, we have that short video. It's posted on the website. One can view, and there is a standard operating procedure there. Then frequently asked questions posted there. Under the account section, they can pull down the menu. They can read all those things. If they have any other issues, they can always contact me. I am available. My email address is in the below here.
So that email address on screen right now, it's very kind of you to share that, but if you do have any other questions or concerns, then do use that email address.
Yes.
I'm pleased to see we've had lots and lots of questions now. So this is an intriguing one. Now, we've been talking about processes that are by and large used in industry or research, but Richard Kassar wants to know if it's ever been applied to undergraduate practicals or to lab demonstrations.
Yes. So in fact, this was tested and applied for the finals just 2 weeks ago in Boston area colleges. Because of the close down now, there were students who are graduating. They need to finish their lab. So we created about a dozen organic chemistry labs applying DOZN, and the students practiced and tested, and they're done with their exam now. So it was the very good question. It's a time apt question. So
Yes, but of course, hopefully, people will be back in their university chemistry labs, hopefully fairly soon. It's clearly not an easy time to be an undergraduate or even postgraduate researcher, not having access to those sorts of resources. Let's have a look. So similar question, can it be used by students working on projects? That was from Nilesh. So I guess, again, students can certainly put their processes through DOZN 2.0 and determine a green score for the processes that students are working on for their own projects as well, even if it's not necessarily for examination or a lab demo.
yes, they can use and they can publish it as a more sustainable process by using the tool. And in fact, we are collaborating with the University of California, Berkeley Green Center, and also collaborating in your side, University of Sheffield. So this tool works for all process, not only chemical related only, it works for biological process, it works for material science, it works for nanomaterial products. So it works for everything. So
do many people publish their DOZN scores? Are there many resources where we can find out, for example, how our process compares to other companies or to other research institutes?
So since this was launched only a year ago, so they are using it right now. We are still waiting for the publications to come out. Other than our publication, we published our tool, how it works, how this, all the calculation, everything we published at ACS Sustainable Chemistry and Engineering Journal a few years ago. So but it's all, people are working on it. We should hear soon more publication coming out.
And that will then help people to benchmark properly, so they'll know
Yes.
how green we should be aiming for, and therefore what processes do we need to look at changing.
Yes.
Okay, a couple of specific questions. We've had one from Kaviarasi who asked if it will help to understand green synthesis of nanoparticles. But we've also had one from Selin Palali who asked how effective is it for understanding inorganic methods like thin film fabrications and so on? Are there restrictions to the sorts of things it can be applied to?
No, there is no restriction. Only thing, if that product is completely new, then the safety related informations are going to go for the default information because you don't have the safety related information. But overall, it will give a score. But down the road, 4 years, 5 years from now, maybe the safety data comes in, it comes pros or cons, then the score might be different. But for the new product, that's always the problem for any tool, because you don't know, you don't have the data yet.
Well, of course, yes. If the data isn't there, there's not a lot that we can really do. We have another question from Shubhankar, who's asked, who said that they work in a biorefinery-based companies. Most of the feed materials are things like wood, lignins, and so on. So how could they use DOZN 2.0 for biorefinery processes with those reasonable natural products as the feedstock?
Yeah, so you can go and add it's a cellulosic, right? That wood or those kind of things are all cellulosic. So the property of cellulose is pretty much there. So you have to come up with that product information similar to one and close enough, because since we don't have all the details of narrow things, but you can put in a bigger picture, you can get a relative score for that.
So we have to be sensible with the estimations that we make and just make sure that we're using the closest possible thing that we can. And
Correct, yeah.
I guess with natural products, there's always going to be variation from one batch to the next. So we can't say for certain exactly what the properties are of that material. That makes sense. Hopefully that answers your question. Still lots of good questions to go. Let's tidy that up. So someone has asked if they could see the extraction from sweet potato process again. Now, just a reminder that we will send everybody who attended and everyone who registered a copy of the recording, so you'll be able to go back through this and hear what Sammy said earlier about that process again. So if there was anything that you missed,
Yes.
then don't worry. So let me just clear that one up. And then what's this one? Oh, okay. A couple of people have asked, and in particular, if it's going to be a useful thing for laboratory practical demos. Is there an offline version of this, or is this exclusively an online tool?
This is an exclusively online tool.
Okay,
so there is, I mean, if there is an issue for them, we will help to make any computer program, depending upon this compatibility of their system and our system. There might be a starting problem might be there, but overall, we didn't have many technical issues with our tool. Only very few people had it, but we resolved it. So that's why I provide my email there, so they can contact me. We'll help to resolve it. But over 95+%, we didn't have any issues with the customer. Currently, we have close to 300 users.
And they're using the online tool. So hopefully that will be useful. I see a couple of people, Sunil Adurti was one of the ones who asked about whether it can be used offline. Email address is on the screen. So if you want to find out more about how it might be adapted or what your approach may be, then do drop that an email. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. Is the Merck team allowed to see the data that you put in? This goes back to what we were saying about having people's protected IP and so on. Is it shared internally?
No, not at all. Nobody can see that thing.
Hopefully that's reassuring, Vishaka.
Pardon me?
I was just saying, hopefully that will be reassuring to Vishaka Goyal, who asked the question. So
oh, okay. Then yes. No, that's one of our, our Merck Darmstadt is our parent company. The security and safety is the very critical here. That's nobody has access to it. I can't see I'm one of the administrators, I cannot see it. So only if there is an IT issue, IT people go and fix the IT related, but not any technical things.
Excellent. So yes, all of your data is safe. You can get a green score without worrying that other people are going to get a good view at your IP. So let's have a look. There we go. Okay, so we talked earlier about registering for DOZN 2.0, and just to be absolutely clear, registration is free and use of the product is free. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Registration is free. Everything is free. No cost involved. So the tool is yours. Once you register, then the information you put in is your information only. And the same way, you cannot see others' information. But we, in the customer feedbacks, somebody wanted to see how many people are using, what's the results are they wanted to see, but our safety security doesn't allow that. So nobody can see those. So that's one of the question came from our users. Oh, if we can see somebody else's result, that would be nice, but that's not allowed under our secure policy. So
Excellent. So that was a question from, oh, I've lost it as well. That was from Vishal Banawar, who was wondering if the whole process is free. So thank you for your question, Vishal. Let's have another look. Now, we've seen a couple of examples in your presentation, and this may not be easy to do off the cuff, but Aaron has asked if you could give us another example of a reaction in a step-by-step manner and explain again how we would use the DOZN tool for that.
In fact, we are working on what are the product we re-engineered. We will be putting in the website step-by-step calculations and the scores in the website shortly.
Excellent.
So if you go to our sigmaaldrich.com/green, you can see that re-engineered product category, the first group I discussed. So click that. It's not there yet. It is in process right now. In few weeks, it will show up for each product. So those categories, 50 products right now we have. So
okay, so hopefully that helps, Aaron. Do just visit the website. So that was sigmaaldrich.com/green is where you can go to find more resources about that. There's still lots more questions coming in. Thank you to everybody who's attended. It's really good to see people being so engaged with a topic like this. I think we've already covered that one. Okay, another interesting one. Can this tool be used in the pyrotechnic industry? Now, we talked about disposal of our resources at the end there and how that affects things. If we're talking about pyrotechnics, then clearly a lot of these things have a fairly explosive end. Is the tool still applicable in that industry?
Yes, it is applicable because pyrotech is what? It's chemistry, right? Chemicals goes into making that pyrotech products. So what it needs is a product name and product MSDS, SDS, and GHS information. So those are all already available because you are making already the product. So it is available. Oh, I have some people registered already while we are discussing here.
Oh, really?
please make sure them register using the business email, institution email. We do not approve under our safety and security policy with a Gmail or Yahoo Mail or any personal email. We do not approve. I see quite a bit of personal email registration already.
Well, I imagine as well with people working at home a lot at the moment, they may just be using their home email. But that's a really good tip. So yes, if you do want to register, do make sure you use your official industry email. I assume if people have tried to register with a personal email, somebody at Sigma or much can get back to them and explain why that then gives them.
We respond to them. Register using your business email. Either it could be government or it could be institution, education institution or industry, but personal email, our strict policy, we cannot approve.
Spencer Barber has said if there isn't a product or reactant already in the system, we talked earlier about using the nearest match if you're using natural products, for example, but if there's something very specific, can a user add their own chemicals to the system, or can they request the DOZN team add in chemicals specifically for them?
No, they can add as in the pull down menu what brand this belongs to. It gives all of our brands, and then on the last you see other. You pull the other thing, button, then it takes care of the rest of the thing.
Excellent. So that might be a challenge if you have very new or very specific research chemicals, but anything else
Yeah.
should already be in the system.
Yeah. So if they see that product, even if they buy a product not from us, from somebody else, they go to our website, try to find similar product in our website. They use that product number, the part number, then that will take care of the thing. If we do not offer still, then they have to do that B score, biohazard score. They have to pull it from SDS page section 12. So that information is there. So
I see. Right. So it should be possible to find all the information you need. Spencer, hopefully that answers your question for you. I shall clear that one up as well. We did, going back to the B score, we did have a specific question. Puneet Kumar just wondered if you wanted to know, he wanted to know a little bit more about the H score and the B score and how they're different and how you use them.
okay, B score is a biohazard score. So it's like a bioaccumulation type of. Health score is the whole health hazard type of thing. So it's completely different.
I see. So Puneet, hopefully that will help. Again, there's a bit more about that in the presentation. Let's have a look. Lots of questions still coming in. So again, if we've got a few minutes left still, but if we do run out of time, we will send all of your questions on. So if you have asked anything that we haven't got through, then we're very sorry about that, and we will send that on as soon as we can. So Brinia Abreu has asked, how do we go about referencing the tool in publications that we're using? Is there a particular way to reference the DOZN 2.0 score that a process has got?
That's a very good question. So you could refer to our company name, MilliporeSigma's DOZN tool, or if you are outside of US and Canada, then you can use Merck's DOZN tool. So
Excellent. That's good to know, Bruno. Hopefully that answers your question for you. One thing with regards, rather than sort of retrofitting a green process onto an existing process, if we're designing something from scratch, how much latitude is there within DOZN to go back, tweak some of the settings, and see what your score is? So how easy is it to go back and say, okay, well, I'll change that solvent. What is my result now?
oh yeah, that's what our that first section re-engineered process. So you just to score as it is what you have right now, then go and tweak the process. You can see each individual principal scores, which one is contributing a lot for the bad side of the sustainability, then go and address. You don't have to do an experiment. You can just hypothetically come up with a thing and then input and see the result, and then go and do the real experiment under that condition and check again the result. And so this is really easy, and it doesn't take that much time at all. Of course, to get started, the beginning there, everyone might have some starting thing, any new program, but once you are used to it, it is just like a piece of cake.
Of course, there's always a learning curve with any tool that you're using. Even if you're trying to do all of this or a similar green score in Microsoft Excel, then it's at some point you had to learn how to use that as well. Let's have a look. So Pintu Bhattacharya has asked, is the free version a restricted version of DOZN, and is there a full version that other people can get to, or is this is everything? Is it?
This is the only version we have right now. Originally we developed the DOZN for internal use, but then we decided to give it out to customers, so customers get help on improving their sustainability. That's where we completely revamped the product. The old system was under the unsecure way, so we dismantled that. There's no longer old system available. So these are DOZN 2.0 is the system available for internal or external customers.
Excellent. Okay. Taking a step back from all of this, Manoj Panda has asked, can you suggest any resources in general about green chemistry? So where should people go if they want to learn more about green chemistry itself, let alone this particular tool for measuring how green our processes are?
I mean, you can go to ACS Green Chemistry Institute, ACS GCI, they have quite a bit of resources there. So that that's where I start with, and then you branch out.
And as you said earlier, there's been
in our website we have tons of information, so you can go through our greener alternative platform and you can see more information, more references.
Satyam Gupta has said that their government college doesn't have their own email facility, and so they're encouraged to use things like Gmail. If that is the situation, should they just get in touch with you and talk to you about how
Yes.
best to go through the process?
Yeah, then they ask them to contact me, then I will talk to our IT. Do they give some exemption? So they have to review all those, because particularly Gmail is not safe according to our IT. So
okay, so Satyam, they get again email addresses on the screen if you'd like to know more about getting around those problems that you might have. I've no doubt whatsoever that you guys, Sammy, are keen to open this product up to as many people as possible. So you will always work with them to find ways
yes,
around these sorts of problems.
Yeah, we will help them to. Oh, we will talk to our IT and see which platform they will allow. It's not me saying that, so it's our IT policy. So
Excellent. So yeah, again, Satyam, hopefully that will have helped answer your question. We've had a couple of people saying the connection occasionally breaks up. Unfortunately, this is the way with all online meetings of this sort. But again, there will be the recorded version made available. So we'll send you that in an email fairly soon, so you can easily pop back and watch any bits that did break up for you based on your connection. We've got 5 minutes left. Let's see if we can get a couple more questions in there. We've had oh, and also Sunil the Dirty has asked about the participation certificate. Yes, everybody who attended live gets a participation certificate as a thank you for joining. So Vitura Madhenda has asked, how does this fall under ISO standards? Now, as far as I know, there is no international standard of greenness. So how does a tool like this fit into that that process?
That's a very good question, and maybe we will get. That's what we are moving right now. The number one idea for going through RSC webinar is we want to spread this more awareness comes out, and then we can go to the ISO type of agencies to get this tool recognized. But right now, there is no single tool available under this kind of a registration.
So there is no international measure of greenness that we need to consider.
It's all work in progress. So
a very quick one. Vishal just wanted us to repeat the site that you can download this from. So that was sigmaaldrich.com/green. That's the right place to go to register and then pick up the software itself. Okay, so some themes are certainly evolving throughout these questions in terms of how you use the software, what it's appropriate for. So Andrew Winkel-Verkler has asked, is a green scoring approach applicable to a project by governments as well? Do you think it's likely? We've talked about universities, we've talked about education, we've talked about industry. Is this likely to be something, or are you hoping this is something that will be used as a score for governmental agencies as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, what you need is a process information. As long as you have a process information, it can be used to. There is no restriction on government or anything. It's whatever the information you put in, the tool gives you the result.
Excellent. And I think this will probably be our last question. And it's quite a broad one, but are there any specific limitations that people should know about before they register in terms of using DOZN 2.0?
There is the only thing, one of the earlier questions they asked, can we do a multiple step synthesis scores? Yes, we can do it. You have to do each step separate in order to get a score for each step under this current 2.0 version. We are working on improving in our 3.0 version. You can get that's the only drawback. You can, particularly the pharma industries have like a 10 or 20 step process. So if they have to do separate, it takes time. but they can address which is the most hazardous and score that and improve it. Still, they can use our tool, but that's the only thing right now we have.
And that's on your
But it's
roadmap.
not, I wouldn't call it drawback. Still, you can do the calculation, get the information what you need, but that's the thing for us to improve for the next version.
Excellent. Well, it's good to know that you're already thinking about the next version, and hopefully we'll see quite a lot of people start using this so we can measure in a comparable way how green our processes are and truly start to understand from one industry to the next how we can compare these sorts of things. So we are almost entirely out of time. Sammy, thank you ever so much for joining us today. It's been fascinating. It's been really interesting to see how many different sorts of questions. So thank you to everybody who's attended for all of the excellent questions that they asked. Again, Sam's details were on the screen, so you know how to get in touch with him if you need to. You also can see that sigmaaldrich.com/green is where you go to find out a bit more. Now, this is one of a series of Chemistry World webinars. We're constantly looking for things that you want to engage with us about, questions you want to ask, people you want to hear presentations from, and topics you'd like to cover. So get in touch. Chemistry World webinars, cwwebinars@rsc.org is the email address for us, or you can find Chemistry World on Twitter. We're just @Chemistry World. There will be a follow-up survey that comes immediately at the end of this. We're really keen to know what worked for you, what didn't work, what you'd like more of. So do please complete the follow-up survey as well. And you can find all of Chemistry World's webinars at chemistryworld.com/webinars. So all that remains, a final thank you to MilliporeSigma for helping us find Sammy and find an interesting topic. And a huge thank you to Sammy for giving up his time to talk to us today. So that's it for this Chemistry World webinar. I'm Ben Valsler, Chemistry World's digital editor. Thank you again to Sammy, and thank you to everybody who attended today. We'll see you in the next Chemistry World webinar.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you all.